Welcome to lesson 265. So right away, you're going to want to know that I'm excited to math and realize that we have 100 more to go. 265. Whoa, we are on the home stretch of the year of our Course in Miracles together. We're still going to hang out a few more times, for sure. Today, creation's gentleness is all I see. So that's our lesson today. Creation's gentleness is all I see. I have indeed misunderstood the world because I laid my sins on it and saw them looking back at me. How fierce they seemed, and how deceived was I to think that what I feared was in the world instead of in my mind alone. So, of course, the Miracle says everything is a projection, which can be a little bit to wrestle with when you realize how horrible your projections are. Today, I see the world in the celestial gentleness with which creation shines. There is no fear in it. Let no appearance of my sins obscure the light of heaven shining on the world. What is reflected there is in God's mind. The images I see reflect my thoughts. Yet is my mind at one with God's, and so I can perceive creation's gentleness. So the more we align our mind with the one mind, the mind of God, the more gentle the world will become, because the more innocent our minds will become, the more peaceful our minds will become, and then our projections are of like manner. In quiet would I look upon the world, which but reflects your thoughts and mine as well. Let me remember that they are the same, and I will see creation's gentleness. So we're all one. We're all thoughts in the mind of God. Like, once we align our will with divine will, it's a whole new world for sure. So today, 265, creation's gentleness is all that I see. For lesson 265, Tina Jesus talked about two different ways of seeing, two different visions. God's vision, or what we actually do see in the world, which is basically television. So when we take a good look at our entertainment system, we recognize embattled conflict vision, all the movies about war, all the entertainment that's very rough, like football and the news. It's really focused on the embattled, conflicted vision of the ego thought system. Now, the opposite to that would be God's vision, holy vision. This vision is motivated by love, and there's a real big difference. So when you realize that the embattled, conflicted vision is something that you would like to change in the world and change in your own life and change in yourself, when you make changes, do not try to battle the old, because the old is established. It will just kind of recreate itself because it has a lot of energy to it, and you're looking at it, so you're putting energy into it, and you will literally be feeding it. So when you try to change things, invent and reinvent the new. To shift the outside world, you must shift the inside world. You cannot fight darkness. There is no dark maker. You cannot fight darkness, but you can illuminate it. So ask yourself, where is the light obscured? And invent and reinvent the new so you can make changes. You would like to change things for the better. You would like to create a world that's full of love and passion for a kind and generous community. That's holy vision. Now, I know a lot of people, a lot of good people who just love watching war movies, but they don't really want war in their real life, but yet they're totally entertained by violence and death. I'm just going to leave that one there for contemplation. But what are we focusing upon? What are we creating with our minds based on the philosophy or whatever, if you will, that all things are created in our minds? All things are literally only in our minds. Do you like what you're manifesting, or is it time to clean up? So I would say most people don't think that them playing violent video games or watching people smash each other on the football field they don't think that's going to hurt their life or affect the world. But when you start studying the laws of the universe and reading A Course in Miracles and just even the basic witchy manifestation, like, you will want to become very deliberate what you put your energy and focus and attention upon and what you entertain in your mind, because your mind is very powerful. It's just not very disciplined. So you're turning on the television and you're just soaking up the news like a sponge. You have just become a conduit for negativity. You have just charged up the world that you say that you don't want. So it's like people don't realize that they're doing it, but now you know that you're doing it. So now you need to watch what you're watching. Now you need to be mindful of what you're thinking, what you're focused upon, what you are helping to manifest. Are you allowing the darkness to still have a dark place to hide in your mind, or are you illuminating it? Are you shifting your inside world? Because until you do that, nothing will shift in the outside world. So if you want to fix your life, fix your mind, fix what's going on inside. All right. So anyways, that was Jesus. Good job, Jesus. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty easygoing today. I'm feeling, I would say, peaceful, and I'm going to try to stay in that direction. Pathwaysoflight.org. Welcome to the reading, A Course in Miracles Workbook Lesson 265, Insights. Creation's gentleness is all I see. What am I identifying with? The ego's thought system or the Holy Spirit's thoughts of love and gentleness? The ego thought system is riddled with guilt. Guilt always goes hand in hand with belief in separation. Within the ego thought system, guilt is always projected so that it looks like the guilt lies in the outside world. With projection, there is always fear. Projection makes the world appear very terrible and laden with guilt. As I learn to let go of the ego thought system or forgive, the projection changes. As the ego thought system is gently laid down, the love of God is all there is to see. The love of God is all there is to feel. The love of God is all there is to be. Creation's gentleness is all I see. What I see shows me where I am in letting go of the ego. Focusing on the egos and others shows me that I am still coming from the ego mind. As I practice daily, letting those fearful images go, what lies behind these barriers to love will show up. What has always been true will show up. The love of God will be seen once again. If I see anything other than love. I still have forgiveness work to do. I am still holding on to a barrier to love, and letting that barrier go is the only answer that will work. Let my practice be today to recognize every barrier to love and let it go. This is true forgiveness. Today's lesson is telling me that everything I fear is in my mind alone. To believe otherwise is self-deception. The world of itself is wholly neutral. It has no meaning of its own, like a blank projection screen. All the meaning I see in the world, I give it. What I think I see is direct feedback, showing me what I believe. If I identify with the ego's idea that separation is real, the world will reflect back to me all the effects that belief in separation brings: fear, guilt, attack, loss, and death. But if I identify with the thoughts I share with God, with the unity of love, the world will reflect back to me creation's gentleness. What I perceive is always my choice. I am never the victim of someone else's behavior. But if I identify with the body, which is the ego's mechanism for making separation seem real, I will always feel that if I'm not a victim right now, I may become a victim in any moment. Weakness and vulnerability are my condition. I must be constantly on alert to defend against seen and unseen forces whose hidden or not so hidden agenda is to bring about my end. This the ego believes. The frailty of the body proves that the Son of God has been taken from his Creator, overpowered, and no longer shares God's eternity. Thankfully, the body is a dream. It is not who I am, nor who anyone is. As I remember that I am still as God created me, that his thoughts are my thoughts, and I am not a body, I will see creation's gentleness. The sentence that really spoke to me this morning was, focusing on the egos and others shows me that I am still coming from the ego mind. I need those landmarks to let me know where I am, because sometimes I think I have released something, and what I have really done is hide it from myself. I get the same ill effects. I just don't see what is causing it. I can't ask for healing if I am in denial about the problem and refusing to see it. On the road this morning, I was stopped to allow a funeral procession of cars to pass. I started to remember what that procession feels like when one is in the line. The thought and the sadness just faded before it took hold. Only the words of today's lesson remained. And it just felt so right to offer this idea as a blessing for my brothers as their cars passed by me. pathwaysoflight.org. So yeah, that's definitely something then to take this conversation to the next step. There's still going to be bad shit in the world for you to lay your eyes upon. So in that moment, when you see something in front of you, it is a choice whether you fall into the way it sucks you in and makes you feel bad, or Remember your lessons, all these crazy things we've been saying all year together, and see past it, bless the people involved in it. Say something that makes yourself feel better about it. Say something that makes you feel, not in an arrogant way, above it, above the battlefield. You're just observing the dream, someone else's dream. Perhaps it's showing you where you're still hiding or in denial of darkness in your own mind. Or maybe it's just something for you to practice looking past, offering prayers for the people that are going through it. I mean, it's an interesting thing. I mean, I watch people literally feel so bad with what's going on in certain parts of the world or other people, or, and I mean, if I'm judging them, then I'm in my ego mind, so I try not to do that. But also, I try to stay in my own lane and really start to see creation for what it is. Anywho's, that's that. 265, creation's gentleness is all I see. So recognizing that I have indeed misunderstood the world, because I laid my sins on it and saw them looking back at me, and that was some scary shit. How fierce they seemed. Whoa. Have you had some projections that have almost knocked your socks off, like in the projection itself, but then when you truly realize how it was you that projected that? How deceived was I to think that what I feared was in the world instead of in my mind alone? So you realize everything's just in your mind. Today, I see the world in the celestial gentleness with which creation shines. There is no fear in it. It's celestial gentleness. So we're not going to let any appearance or projection of sins obscure the light of heaven shining on the world. We're going to quit blocking it. We're going to get out of the way. Get out of the way of heaven's light. What is reflected there is in God's mind. The images I see reflects my thought. So the remedy is connecting and understanding and allowing my mind at one with God's. Because if I can let my thoughts and God's thoughts be one, I can perceive creation's gentleness. I can forgive. I can see with Christ's vision. I can really go about this whole thing a whole new way. So take time to be quiet today. In quiet would I look upon the world, which but reflects your thoughts and mine as well. Let me remember they are the same, and I will see creation's gentleness. So just have yourself a quiet, peaceful, loving day, regardless of what's going on out in the world. Turn off your TV and don't even pick up your freaking stupid phone. You literally don't need to be bombarded all the time with all that nonsense. And I say that lovingly, but once you start to detox from it, you'll see how it was influencing you. And now let's do something new. All right, we can't end until we've rhymed.